Today we're going to be talking about a pretty popular topic lately. It's about why everybody wants to get the hell out of this state of California. It's just a big disaster in the making. And it's actually an interesting thing because for a long time, people around the whole country, around the world, they all wanted to come to California because it's beautiful people and great place, great sun. A lot of people are actually jealous sometimes when they watch these videos. They see, man, that looks really cool over there. But in recent years, what happens is that if you have bad policies for a long period of time, you can make an even amazing place turn into kind of a hell over time. For instance, I'll give you an example. The way state governments work is that we have 50 states and they're supposed to actually compete against one another. You're supposed to, so you can't really come up with really terrible policies, because in the long run you have to realize, well, there are 49 states. If we have really bad policies, people will say, hey, I'm gonna pack up and leave. I don't want to deal with these bad policies. I can go somewhere else. But in California, they kind of act as though there aren't other states. They kind of think, we have a monopoly. Where the hell are you gonna go? You're not gonna go anywhere. This is so. Oh, here's some political things. I know that people don't like politics on my channel, but I'm just pointing out the things, how people vote here. But in any case, people have the impression that, hey, where are you gonna go? You're not gonna leave California. I mean, it's perfect here, right? Weather is amazing. All the people want to be here. But California has gotten really arrogant. Like, for instance, the top state income tax rate is 13.3%. But now California says, you know what? That's not enough. We want 16.8. I mean, some people are proposing it. It hasn't become law yet. But a lot of people like Graham Stephan have seen that, at least proposed, and then he said, well, I'm not gonna stick around for that bullshit. I'm just gonna get the hell out of here. And then so then there's the wealth tax that they want to add on top of that. See, no other state has those kind of laws, though. No other state has a 16.8% rate. I mean, next door in Nevada, where Graham's going, he will pay 0%, and that's makes sense because states compete with one another. I mean, if there was a monopoly, you could charge as much as you want. But the way the states work is that you're supposed to compete with the other states. There's no monopoly. People can leave. And I know somebody say, but don't we need it for the schools? Don't you need it for this? But here's the thing. You only pay the tax to your state. If I'm living in California, I don't pay tax to Texas. I don't pay it to Nevada. So each state has to attract people who want to live there, and then they will be willing to pay the tax in that state. But if you become arrogant, which has been the case in California a long time, then people start leaving. But the problem is that I just think that they really don't believe that can happen. So what happens when you have an arrogant elite kind of cabal running things in the streets? They really are run pretty badly. I mean, these streets are fairly nice, but a lot of parts of California, the streets are pretty badly run. Usually there are a lot of potholes. I mean, I was driving in Florida, not as though people in Florida are richest people in the country or anything like that, but you don't have potholes and stuff like that, right Danny? And what else about crime? Oh yeah, crime is kind of a crazy thing because it already has been going to the moon, right?
Yep.
In fact,
we had a homeless person move into our basement recently.
Yep, that was, well, we didn't see the person, we just have evidence that they were there. But also, even just on the crime front, I mean, there's a district attorney race. There's one guy literally who's running. I know this wouldn't happen in most parts of the country. There's one guy who kind of just wants to only prosecute super serious offenses. Everything else, he's just going to let people kind of do whatever they want. If they graffiti, if they I don't know, it's just threaten someone, he's probably not going to do anything. So people see things like that and they think, whoa, what the heck is going on here? Why do I have to stay around for that and see what happens? What do you think about that?
It's like Portland now, everywhere.
That's kind of true. So that has an impact on the economy, because here's the thing. This is true actually in most places. Who pays for the city government? It's people who actually make a lot of money, actually. And so if you actually are starting to scare these people away, making really bad policies, well, soon you start realizing that the tax revenue disappears, and then the people left over have to make up the difference, because a lot of these things do cost a lot of money, like the police, firefighters, court system, the school system, all the stuff that the government pays for. Well, someone's got to pay it, and if people leave, the other people who are remaining end up having to pay the rest of it, and I don't think that they're going to like that too much. But one of the things that I was thinking about with Graham that actually made sense, well, here's a funny thing. I always thought about this, Danny. Graham was talking about saving like $5 on a cup of coffee, but then he was sticking around in California paying like a fortune. Didn't you think that was kind of silly? Like, why is he talking about saving $5 on coffee, and he's paying what, $20,000 a month or whatever it was in the state income tax or whatever it was? So I was thinking, why is he doing that? That is funny. That would seem like a weird contradiction. Took him a long time to say, wait a minute, I'm bragging about saving money on coffee at Starbucks, but I'm wasting a fortune on something I don't need to pay for. Now, another funny thing is, a lot of these people say, oh, look at all these fancy homes and stuff like that. Yeah, these homes are bigger than average in LA, but actually they would be quite small in places like Texas or something like that. So it's kind of funny how people look at this and say, oh, that's really luxurious, but in reality, like a lot of these things, that really would be like something that would be like something that an attorney would have in the state of Texas. It wouldn't be really a big deal, whereas here it's more like, oh, that's only for celebrities, stuff like that. And so what is going to happen, you think, California? You think people are just going to disappear and there won't be anybody left here?
I think that they will be forced to change the policies when
they
everyone's
don't
leaving.
They don't seem like they like to change the policies. They're
Not
extremely
yet. But if all
arrogant.
the constituents leave, then they will be forced to change.
What's funny about it is people say, well, why don't people vote? Well, that's complicated. They kind of rigged the system so that it doesn't really work properly anymore. If you think about it, people kind of became disconnected from the political process, don't really even know what they're voting for. Also, even initiatives, sometimes you think by voting yes you're supporting something, but then it's written in a tricky way. It's actually not exactly the way you think it will be. So if you vote yes, you're opposing it, and if you vote no, you're supporting it. That's a complicated thing. I think sometimes people end up voting for something that is not really what they think. Also, the Attorney General in California writes these writes the summary of the initiatives. So sometimes things will actually pass that maybe they don't support. Maybe so they're just passing it because they think the Attorney General summary makes sense to them, but it's not exactly what they had in mind. So you have crime, you have stupid high housing costs here, you have the stupid high taxes, and I forgot about the lockdowns. That's another thing. Things that people used to like here in California, you can't do it anymore. Oh, I want to go to Disneyland. Oh, closed. Okay, how about we go to a movie theater? Nope, closed. How about a show at Pantages? Nope, that's closed too. All the wonderful museums? Nope, that's closed too. So you're starting to get to a point where, I mean, what's the difference between this and some boring town where all they have are parks? There's really not a whole lot you could do anymore. And so I think people are starting to think, well, why am I paying for this? I'm not getting anything. It doesn't make sense to remain. So I think the lockdowns and also the combination of the arrogant policies and not really realizing that we live in a pretty competitive environment where there are 49 other states, and not to mention territories like Puerto Rico that offer really great benefits too. So people will be continuing to leave because it's really possible, especially with remote working and things like that. I think that's increasing the opportunities that exist. I can imagine that we're going to start seeing a stampede, especially over the next 5 to 10 years. California will probably also lose a representation in Congress, maybe one seat, and electoral college votes too. So it's all downhill from here in the state of California. And usually when things go downhill, eventually things bottom out, but it might take quite a bit of time before people figure out what went wrong. So that's it from California. Be sure to subscribe to this channel it really helps, because some people didn't like my political channel. I hope lots of people unsubscribed. So hopefully you'll continue to subscribe, smash the like button, hit the notification bell, because if you just subscribe but don't hit the notification bell, you won't even know about what's going on. Anyway, talk to you in the next video.